Every year, the United States Congress approves a defense budget that runs to hundreds of pages. Journalists cover it, analysts dissect it, rival governments study every line. And yet, buried inside that document, hidden in plain sight within the worlds, most scrutinized military budget is a number that almost never makes the headlines. Intelligence professionals call it the black budget. In fiscal year 2023, that number exceeded $86 billion, $86 billion allocated to programs so classified that their names cannot be publicly disclosed, their objectives cannot be formally acknowledged, and in some cases their very existence remains a matter of official ambiguity. To understand the scale, $86 billion exceeds the entire defense budgets of most NATO member states. It surpasses what Russia spends on its military in a full year, and it operates entirely beyond public scrutiny. But this is not simply a story about a hidden number in a federal budget. Inside that classified envelope, something is being built, hypersonic weapons designed to travel at speeds that render existing missile defenses irrelevant, directed energy platforms capable of disabling satellites from the ground, autonomous weapons systems that can make targeting decisions without a human in the loop. Space-based capabilities whose existence the Pentagon has not publicly confirmed. These are not concepts. Several are operational. Others are in advanced testing. While the world watches tank columns in Ukraine and missile exchanges over the Middle East, a different and far more consequential arms race is accelerating in facilities most people will never hear of. The weapons that will define the next major conflict are not being debated in Congress, they are already being tested. And the world is almost entirely looking the other way. The public debate about American military power tends to focus on what is visible, aircraft carrier deployments, congressional battles over the F-35 program, the Army's evolving force structure, the Marine Corps reorientation toward the Pacific. These are real debates about real capabilities, and they matter, but they are not the conversation that matters most right now. Inside the Pentagon, inside the intelligence community, and inside the network of defense contractors operating under the highest levels of classified clearance, a different and considerably more urgent discussion is taking place. That conversation is being driven by two assessment threads that have converged with unusual speed and whose combined weight has triggered a classified development surge not seen since the late Cold War. The first thread is China. The Pentagon's annual report on Chinese military power, itself an unclassified public document, has documented for 3 consecutive years that Beijing is expanding its nuclear arsenal faster than previously projected, deploying hypersonic glide vehicles that the United States currently has no operational defense against, and methodically building out space and cyber capabilities designed specifically to blind American command and control networks in the critical opening hours of any conflict. The second thread is Ukraine. The war in Eastern Europe has delivered something strategically invaluable. The most comprehensive battlefield data on conventional warfare that any military has had access to in decades. The lessons are precise and uncomfortable. Drone saturation overwhelms traditional air defense architectures. Precision munitions are consumed at rates that outpace industrial production. Electronic warfare degrades communications in ways doctrine never fully anticipated. Expensive armoured vehicles fall to cheap portable weapons with disturbing regularity. Together, these two threads have produced a focused institutional response. DARPA has expanded its classified portfolio. The Air Force's Rapid Capabilities Office has compressed development timelines. The Space Force, created in 2019 and initially dismissed as ceremonial, has moved multiple programs from concept to classified development with unexpected urgency. What is being built is not simply incremental improvement, it is deliberate strategic transformation driven not by last year's events, but by what classified analysts believe the next decade will demand. The tradition of developing America's most decisive military capabilities in deliberate secrecy is older than most people realize, and its track record is genuinely extraordinary. It begins in the Nevada desert, at a remote facility that entered popular mythology for entirely the wrong reasons. Area 51 was not, as decades of speculation suggested, a repository for extraterrestrial artifacts. It was something far more consequential. It was where Lockheed's Skunk Works division, operating under the most restrictive secrecy, the United States government had ever imposed on a civilian contractor, developed the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft in the 1950s, and later the SR-71 Blackbird. The SR-71 remains to this day the fastest air-breathing aircraft ever built. It was operational for years before its existence was publicly acknowledged. That was not an accident. It was a doctrine. The principle that emerged from those Nevada test ranges became foundational to American military thinking. A breakthrough capability developed in complete secrecy delivers maximum strategic advantage, precisely because adversaries cannot build countermeasures against a weapon they have no knowledge of. You cannot defend against what you cannot see coming. That principle accelerated dramatically through the 1970s and 1980s. The F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth aircraft, was developed, tested, and placed into active service without a single public disclosure. Pilots flew it, maintenance crews serviced it, the program consumed billions of dollars, and none of it appeared in any public accounting. By the time the F-117 appeared over Baghdad on the opening night of the Gulf War in January 1991, it had been flying classified missions for years. The result was not merely tactical Iraqi air defense networks built at enormous cost around Soviet radar systems designed to track conventional aircraft were rendered functionally obsolete in a single night. An entire generation of air defense investment was defeated by a capability that had been invisible until the moment it mattered most. The classified development model has been vindicated completely. The post-Cold War era introduced a new and arguably more consequential dimension to this tradition. Offensive cyber capability developed quietly across two administrations, produced operations that rewrote the boundaries of what military action could mean. Stuxnet, the joint American and Israeli cyber weapon deployed against Iranian nuclear facilities, physically destroyed uranium enrichment centrifuges without a single aircraft, missile or soldier crossing a border. It was the most strategically elegant application of classified capability in modern history. Decisive effect, complete deniability, zero conventional air military signature. The lesson running through all of it is consistent. America's most strategically decisive advantages have not come from weapons debated in congressional hearings. They have come from programs that nobody was watching. Every time that model has been applied with discipline and patience, the moment of revelation has shifted the strategic balance in ways adversaries had no capacity to anticipate. The institutional memory runs deep inside the Pentagon, and right now it is driving decisions whose consequences the world has not yet begun to calculate. History rarely announces moments when the nature of warfare fundamentally changes. It reveals them afterward in the gap between what one side expected and what the other had quietly prepared. What is happening inside America's classified development programs right now belongs precisely to that category. And to understand it, you need to examine 5 specific domains together, because the strategic logic only becomes visible when you see all 5 as a coherent whole. The first domain is hypersonics. A hypersonic weapon travels at Mach 5 or above, while maneuvering unpredictably along its flight path. That maneuverability is what separates it from a ballistic missile. Ballistic missiles follow a predictable arc. Existing missile defense systems were engineered to intercept that arc. A hypersonic glide vehicle follows no predictable path. It can shift direction mid-flight. It arrives faster than any current intercept system is capable of responding to China deployed. The DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle operationally in 2019. Russia has claimed deployment of its Avangard system. The United States currently has no operational hypersonic weapon and no operational defense against adversary hypersonic weapons. the acknowledged American programs, the Army's long range. Hypersonic weapon, the Navy's conventional prompt strike the Air Force's AGM-183A are real, but they are almost certainly the visible fraction of a much larger classified effort. Budget anomalies, contractor disclosures, and test range activity all point in the same direction. The gap is real, and the urgency it is generating inside classified development is equally real. The second domain is directed energy. The strategic appeal is most clearly understood through a single economic comparison. A Patriot interceptor missile costs approximately $3 million per shot. A high-energy laser beam costs in operational terms roughly $1. In a conflict environment where adversaries are deliberately flooding battlefields with cheap drones and cruise missiles to exhaust expensive interceptor stockpiles, directed energy offers something that fundamentally changes the economic logic of air defense. Effectively unlimited magazine depth at near zero marginal cost. The United States has deployed 60 kilowatt laser systems on naval vessels, but classified development is focused on systems exceeding 300 kilowatts. The threshold at which directed energy can engage aircraft and potentially satellites. A mature capability at that level would not simply improve American air defense, it would neutralize the cost asymmetry doctrine that China, Russia, and Iran have built their military strategies around for 2 decades. The third domain is autonomous systems and artificial intelligence Project Maven. The Pentagon's AI-driven image recognition program that became public in 2018 was the visible surface of a considerably deeper investment. The classified dimension extends to autonomous targeting systems, AI-driven electronic warfare platforms, and drone swarm technology. A coordinated swarm of hundreds or thousands of small autonomous vehicles presents a problem that existing air defense architectures were never designed to address. Current systems track and engage a manageable number of high-value targets. They have no viable answer to several hundred low-cost autonomous vehicles operating as a single coordinated system. The strategic logic mirrors directed energy overwhelm, adversary defense economics while preserving your own. The fourth domain is space, and here the imperative is as much defensive as offensive. American military operations depend on satellite infrastructure more completely than any other force on Earth. GPS precision, battlefield surveillance, communications, missile guidance. Every one of these functions runs through space-based systems. An adversary capable of denying that infrastructure in the opening hours of a conflict does not simply degrade American military capability in one area. It degrades American capability across every domain simultaneously. The X-37B orbital test vehicle has been flying classified missions for years with objectives that have never been publicly described. What the Space Force has moved from concept into classified development since 2019 almost certainly extends considerably further. The investment is fundamentally an attempt to protect the dependency layer that all other capabilities rely on. The fifth domain is cyber, and unlike the others, it is not being built for a future conflict. It is being used now continuously under a doctrine the Pentagon terms persistent engagement. American offensive cyber operations are active inside adversary networks at this moment. The classified reality almost certainly extends far beyond the fragments that the public has occasionally glimpsed through inadvertent disclosures. Each of these programs taken in isolation is significant. Taken together, they form something more important, a coherent strategic architecture built around a single unifying insight. The visible American military is increasingly vulnerable to cost asymmetric attack. Each domain is specifically designed to reverse that vulnerability. This is not a collection of separate initiatives, it is a coordinated strategic response, and it is closer to operational reality than most of the world currently understands. The 5 domains we have just examined do not simply add new weapons to an existing arsenal. They threaten to restructure something far more fundamental. The deterrence logic that has governed international security since the end of the Second World War, modern deterrence operates on a deceptively simple premise. A potential adversary calculates the likely cost of military action against the certainty of American response, and concludes the risk is not worth taking. That calculation has kept major power conflict from occurring for 8 decades. But it depends on one critical condition: that the adversary has a reasonably accurate picture of what it is being deterred by. Secret capabilities, by definition, corrupt that condition entirely. Consider what this means in practical terms. An adversary that believes it can saturate American air defenses with cheap drones and cruise missiles, because that is the capability it can observe, measure and plan around, may make strategic decisions it would never make if it understood that directed energy systems capable of engaging mass saturation attacks at near zero marginal cost were already operational or approaching operational status. The deterrence calculation changes completely, but only for the side that knows the full picture. For China, this creates a strategic dilemma of the first order. Beijing has spent 2 decades and an extraordinary volume of national resources building a military architecture specifically designed to defeat the American military. It can see the carrier strike groups, the F-35 wings, the guided missile destroyers, the Pacific basing structure. If the classified programs advancing inside the American defense establishment are as mature as the strategic logic suggests, China may be calibrating its entire military posture around a threat model that is already being superseded. The architecture Beijing built to win may be designed to defeat an opponent that is quietly ceasing to exist. Russia's position is different, but structurally parallel. Moscow's strategic leverage in Europe rests significantly on its missile arsenal and its demonstrated hypersonic capability to defeat NATO air defenses. A mature American-directed energy architecture would not eliminate that threat, but it would fundamentally alter the cost calculus of any exchange. And cost calculus is precisely what Russian military planning depends on. For American allies, the picture introduces a different kind of complexity. South Korea, Japan, and key European and NATO members calibrate their own defense investments around what they know about American capabilities. Classified information gaps mean those calibrations may be systematically off in either direction. Allies who underestimate American classified progress may be overinvesting in redundant systems. Those who overestimate it may be making security commitments that outrun the actual capability beneath them. The economic consequences extend further still. The classified development surge is visibly reshaping the defense industrial base. Small technology companies, not the traditional Lockheed Martin and Raytheon primes, are winning significant contracts in artificial intelligence, autonomous systems and directed energy. Silicon Valley talent and capital are flowing into national security programs at a pace not seen since the early internet era. The structure of American defense innovation is changing. And globally, nations that cannot access this technology are responding by accelerating their own development programs or deepening technology transfer relationships with China and Russia. The secret competition is generating its own proliferation dynamics. The most destabilizing feature of all this is not that secret capabilities exist, it is that adversaries know they exist without knowing what they can do, and that uncertainty reshapes calculations in ways that are genuinely difficult to anticipate or control. The strategic picture assembled across this documentary leads to an unavoidable question. When capabilities of this magnitude approach operational maturity simultaneously, how does the world respond? There are 4 plausible trajectories, not sequential alternatives, but overlapping possibilities, each with its own probability, and each capable of generating consequences that intersect with the others. The first is strategic revelation and recalibration. History offers a consistent pattern here. Classified capabilities eventually become known through intelligence collection and contractor disclosures or deliberate government signaling. American stealth became apparent to adversaries before the Gulf War confirmed it publicly in 1991. Signals intelligence architecture became visible through the Snowden disclosures of 2013. In each case, the revelation forced a fundamental revision of adversary planning assumptions. The same process will occur with directed energy, autonomous systems, and hypersonics. The critical uncertainty is what that revelation triggers. If adversaries conclude their current military approaches are no longer viable, the outcome could prove stabilizing recalculation that reduces the perceived value of aggression. If the revelation instead accelerates counter-development in domains where American advantage is less established, the outcome runs in the opposite direction. The current trajectory suggests the latter is more probable. The second scenario is the one that concentrates the most classified analytical attention inside the Pentagon, a Chinese military move against Taiwan. The assessment that China's window of opportunity for action against Taiwan runs from approximately 2027 to 2035 is not a fringe analytical position. It reflects a convergence of judgments about the pace of Chinese military modernization relative to American capability development. A Taiwan Strait conflict would become the first simultaneous operational test of multiple classified programs, directed energy against Chinese drone saturation autonomous systems in actively contested airspace space-based surveillance, under electronic jamming and cyber operations targeting Chinese command infrastructure. The outcome would resolve definitively and publicly the true state of capabilities that both sides have spent years building in deliberate secrecy. The classified development timeline is being driven in significant part by the imperative to reach operational maturity before that window opens fully. The third trajectory requires no conflict to become dangerous. It is already unfolding. Existing arms control architecture was built for a world of countable weapons in verifiable locations. It has no framework for cyber capabilities embedded inside adversary infrastructure. No mechanism for verifying autonomous weapons development. No accounting for directed energy systems or the classified payloads of orbital vehicles. The collapse of the INF Treaty and the uncertain future of New START have already weakened the institutional foundations of strategic stability. As classified capabilities in unregulated domains continue to proliferate, and the absence of any replacement framework creates escalation risks that are structurally novel risks for which no established diplomatic vocabulary currently exists. The fourth trajectory is the longest in duration and perhaps the most strategically consequential of all technology diffusers. It always has. Stealth gave America a generation of air superiority. That advantage has been slowly eroding as China, Russia and others pursue their own stealth programs. Drone technology, once an exclusive American military capability, is now fielded by non-state actors worldwide. The same diffusion will eventually reach directed energy, autonomous systems, and hypersonics. The question is never whether this happens, it is whether the window of decisive advantage was used effectively enough before it closed. Every classified advantage America has ever developed has eventually followed that arc. The strategic question never truly changes what was actually accomplished, while the window of advantage remained open. We began with number $86 billion invisible inside a public budget funding programs whose names cannot be acknowledged and whose objectives cannot be publicly confirmed. Having examined what that number is building and why and what it means, we can now answer the question. This documentary began with more precisely than any public debate ever has. What America is secretly building while the world looks away is not simply a new generation of weapons, it is a coherent architectural response to a strategic problem the visible military cannot solve. The conventional arsenal that America spent a generation perfecting has been studied, measured, and deliberately targeted by adversaries who built cheap mass producible systems specifically designed to exhaust it. The 5 classified domains, hypersonics, directed energy, autonomous systems, space warfare, and cyber are not isolated programs. Together they represent an attempt to restore decisive military advantage in the precise spaces where the cost asymmetry strategy fails. History validates the approach to stealth changed the fundamental character of air warfare. Precision guidance redefined what a strike could accomplish. Cyber extended military competition into domains conventional power could never reach. The institutional logic of developing decisive capability in secret, then revealing it at the right moment, has earned its place in American military culture through repeatable results. But history also carries a pattern. No institutional logic can fully prevent every decisive advantage eventually diffused. Adversaries adapted, the window closed, and the cycle began again, each time at higher stakes and each time with less institutional architecture capable of managing what the technology released into the world. The question no classified program can answer is whether this cycle can sustain itself and whether global order can hold on a foundation no existing institution was built to govern. The world is not watching right now, but what is being built will eventually demand to be seen.